welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm doing a mixed media scrapbook layout, and it's going to have a wolf theme and look outdoorsy because these are a couple pictures of our hotel when we were in Yosemite. I'm also glad to be getting done with this because this trip was in 2008 and I'm on my last couple pages. So to start with, I'm taking some mixed media paper that I cut to 11.5 times 12 because that's the size that goes in my album. And I'm spraying on some mica mist from Nuvo. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know I don't really like it because it clogs up. So what my solution is, I dump it into this bottle I bought from Hobby Lobby and spray it from that. Then after each use, I dump it back in the original bottle and wash out the new bottles so it hopefully won't be clogged. It still wasn't spraying too well, so off screen, I took the lid off and took the nozzle off the tube, ran the tube through some running water, and then ran my nozzle under running water. And while I do that, I also kind of pump it so it forces the water to go through and cleans out the pump. Now it's working much better. Also, this color green I don't believe is available anymore. It was in a Christmas set, and I think it was called something melon, but it's no longer available. And I also do not recommend this product. Now, there are other spray pigments that you can use. I haven't used any others, so I don't know which ones work well, but I'll be testing those out once I use up all my mica spray. I made this video as part of a YouTube hop for Mix It Up Monday. So we always start with the sketch. So the sketch we're using today is from Brenda Ragsdale, and originally it was with Scrap Our Stash for an April Sketch Challenge. And on the sketch, it shows a tag. So I cut out a tag using my paper punch, or you can cut one out with a die, or if you have a cutting machine, you can do that. And I'm getting a copper-colored brad out to use to make it into a tag. Next, I'm going to heat emboss a stamped image onto my tag, and I'm doing it upside down because the tag goes upside down on the layout. And I'm using a wolf stamp from Stampin Up with my VersaMark ink, which is clear, and then I'm using some copper embossing powder from Ranger. And I really like how this really shines, and it really looks cool when you're melting it. You'll see I did get some extra ink when I stamped there, so the embossing powder stuck in one spot where I didn't want it, so I just used my hand and a brush to brush it off before I heat set it. As I mentioned, this is part of YouTube Hop with Mix It Up Monday, which is a social media hop where we share projects that mix it up. We're mixing up a traditional scrapbook layout with some different types of media such as texture paste, ink, gesso, thread. Actually, the sky's the limit. The hop is a collaboration between Anna from Peacecraft Love and Kimberly from I'd Rather Be Scrapbooking, but anyone is welcome to play along. We post the inspiration sketch on the last Monday of the month, and then the hop takes place on the second Monday of the month. And I'll have a list of everyone in the hop in the description below. It may be a direct link to the video, or it may be just to their channel, and then you can find their video on their channel. Now that my mica mist has dried, I'm going to go ahead and do some splatters on this and my tag that I made. And what I like about doing this is when you use paints and inks as your background, you can use a variety of colors and it can match what other pattern papers you have or your photos. Whereas if you're trying to find a pattern paper that has all the exact colors you want, that's a lot more difficult. So I'm splattering on some distress ink. I just smush it on my work surface, add some water, and then just use a brush. Now, I had trouble doing splatters, and I'd seen someone using a fan brush like this. And so when I was at a store, I don't know if it's Hobby Lobby or Michael's, wherever, I saw one of these, so I picked one up. And this helps you to get the splatters a lot finer, and I find this a lot better than what the brush I was using before. The colors I'm using is Tim Holtz Distress Ink, it's the Pine Needles, and then the brown I'm using is Walnut Stain. And I'm just splattering my background and my tag with the same colors to give it a cohesive look. Then I'm just using my ink blending brush with a foam dome to rub on some Walnut Stain Distress Ink, And that's what I really like about the distress inks. There's so many different ways that you can use them. So I'm going to use my crocodile to put on my brad, and it kind of pokes a hole at the same time. So you just put your brad on your crocodile. There's a little thing that sticks up, you put it on, and then you punch your hole, just like a paper punch. Now the problem I have is seeing what you're doing on these tags and getting it evenly spaced, which I don't, but that's okay. I'm just going to use it the way it is. I do like that the copper colored brad goes really good with the copper colored wolf. To finish off my tag, I found this trim in my cabinet. It's probably for sewing or maybe some other craft project. I have no idea, but it's brown, so it works. I wouldn't usually use this for a tag, but I thought the texture looked interesting, and it does work. So just use whatever you have on hand. You can use twine, jute, string, yarn, whatever you have. Now the only problem I did find with this is it unravels, kind of the edges fray. So I trimmed that off a little bit, and then when I put it into my scrapbook layout, I'll glue it on, and the glue will keep it from unraveling. Plus it's going to be in a scrapbook layout. It's not going to be on someone's clothes, so it's not going to be used much and moving around a lot. I got all my elements ready, and some of them I did off screen and checked to see how everything laid out according to layout. I'll put a picture of the layout on the screen so that you can see what I'm doing. Now this is my journaling card that I already wrote on, and it takes place of that rectangle that you see under the tag on the sketch, although I mixed it up by making this larger because I needed room to write my journaling. I think it's very important to journal in your photo album because even if you're the only one looking at it, you look at it years later, you won't know the story behind those pictures. It also makes it more interesting for someone who is looking at your photo album to have some idea, context of what the picture is. So on this one, I'm just saying that my photos are of the Best Western that we stayed at in Oakhurst. And we were supposed to go to a wagon ride my sister had paid for as part of my birthday present, to go on this wagon ride and have, I think, barbecue and s'mores. Well, there was a forest fire somewhere, not real close, but close enough that there was a lot of smoke, so it got canceled. So we didn't get to have s'mores. I was really disappointed. And also, we were going to go back to Mariposa Grove. Well, we decided that last day it was too smoky outside, so we just pretty much stayed in the hotel, and then we did go out for lunch. Then I used my glue to glue on my tag because this journaling card and the tag are underneath everything else. Just make sure I use enough glue on the trim to keep it held down and to keep it from unraveling. Now, when I started planning my scrapbook page, I first picked out the pictures, and then I picked out my paper because it's easier to match the ink and other things to that. So this paper I'm using is a pattern paper from Sugar Tree. I'm not really familiar with that. I must have picked it up in a scrapbook store that I'd been in, and it could have been decades ago. I don't know. Anyway, so I figured this goes well with it. I do try to get items like this when I go on vacation or local scrapbook stores, although a lot of those have gone out of business. But we do have two paper stores that are not real close to me, but not real far away either. So whenever I see things like this type of paper that's camping or outdoorsy, I usually get those papers because we do like to go hiking into national parks a lot. So I know those are kind of be photos that I need to scrapbook. Now I'm getting ready to do my horizontal papers that look like paper strips. So I'm using this one that looks like trees, and I got this as a border strip from Creative Memories. So I'll put a list of all the things I'm using in the description below. Some of these I may not include because like this paper probably doesn't exist anymore. In Creative Memories, I'm not a consultant. I just bought some of it, and I don't think they keep their products around any more than a year. So you might get some on the used market, or they might just happen to still have this in stock. I did just buy these at a convention this spring, so I don't know if they still have it. And then this other paper I know for sure is probably not available. I got this several years ago, and it's from Heidi Swapp, and it's just a strip that I cut from one of her wolf collection papers. And I don't know if there's wolves in Yosemite. I know maybe a decade ago or so, I heard of some wolves that had started migrating into California, so I don't know if they're still there or if they were in the Yosemite area. But my sister loves wolves, so it's a picture of her that I'm doing, so that works great. And plus, hey, maybe there are some, I don't know. For the circle element, I'm just using a stamp and stamping on these wolf paw prints, and it's from the same stamp set I used earlier. And I'm using this Ancient Page, which is an acid-free archival ink from Stampin' Up. My sister used to be a consultant, so this is very old too, so I don't even know if they make it anymore. But if not, I know there's other ones out there. I think Tim Holtz has a line of archival ink, so there's ones you can get. So I'm just kind of stamping these alternately around. I don't get quite a good circle, and I decided to go back to make it look a little more filled in. And also so it kind of looks like there's footprints side by side. I'm adding my photos on some brown paper that kind of go with everything else. It's a slightly reddish brown, so I thought that looked great. I'm just putting these on, and my sister and I were really impressed with this Best Western. Well, as far as the Best Western goes, it was pretty decorative. It had this stained glass that was looking like a scene from the mountains, as well as paintings of the mountains inside the room, which of course is something we really like. Now for my photos, I like to mat those and attach them to my photo album with photo squares or photo splits instead of glue. In place of the butterflies on the sketch, I'm using these stickers from Jolee that look like wolf prints, and I like that they're shiny because that kind of goes along with the tag and looks kind of coppery. And then for the title corner, I found these stickers in my stash. It has a raccoon, and he's holding like a stick with a marshmallow, and then there's a little fire. So I thought it looked funny that he's making s'mores. And then my title is going to be No S'mores, and I'm going to use my Creative Memories alphabet stickers for that. And that's why I think it's important to do journaling, because without that, you would never have known. It just shows us in a hotel that there had been a forest fire anywhere nearby and that we had our plans changed. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a hop, so please check the description below for the next person on the hop. It's always fun to see how many different ways people used a sketch, and especially adding mixed media, what they came up to do with the sketch. And hopefully you'll get some great ideas for doing your scrapbooking. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for your continued support, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.